Hey, what's up, Mr. Sada here. Today we're going to be talking about writing a good hypothesis. Let's get started. So what's a hypothesis? Well, a hypothesis is an educated guess about the outcome of a specific test. A good hypothesis also includes a possible explanation about why the expected outcome of a test will occur. So here are two qualities of a good hypothesis. One, a prediction about the outcome of a scientific investigation, and an explanation for why those results will occur. So we need a prediction and an explanation to have a good hypothesis. So a hypothesis is a word of prediction about what will happen if you change something. So here's our first example of a hypothesis. So here's my example. So if students eat a lot of candy, then they will get more cavities because sugar on the teeth causes cavities. And you can see I have three words highlighted here in red, and we'll see why they're important in a second. So a good hypothesis is usually worded like this. If this, then that, because this. And here's why. So here are our big words, if, then, and because. So let's check out why they're important. All right, so after the word if, you're going to explain what will change in the investigation. Afterward, then you write your prediction for what's going to happen as a result of the change here. And then after the word because, you explain why you think that result will happen. So if, you explain what's being changed. Then you write your prediction for what you think is going to happen when you change that. And then because, write the reasoning for why you think it's going to happen. Alright, so here's an example of a hypothesis. So my question here, does eating a lot of chocolate cause stomach aches for students? So we're going to write that with our if, then, and because format. So here's an example here. So if students eat a lot of chocolate, then they will get a sick stomach because a lot of chocolate all at once is hard for the stomach to digest, which is true. But we'd have to test in order to find that out if we weren't sure. Right, and then we know it has all the good parts of a good hypothesis here. It has the if, so it says what's going to change in the experiment. We're going to have students eat a lot of chocolate. We have our prediction for what's going to happen. We say they'll get a sick stomach. And we have our because here. We have our explanation for what's going to happen. That the reason that the student's going to get a sick stomach is because a lot of chocolate is hard to digest for the stomach all at once. So we need our three parts, if, then, and because. Let's take a look at another example here. All right, so my question is, does adding salt to a plant's soil affect the health of a plant? I want to know what's a good hypothesis for the question above. So if you're watching, you can pause the video for a second to think about what a good hypothesis is going to look like. And remember, the good parts of hypothesis are if, then, and because. So pause the video here, and then you can resume, and I'm going to go over the good hypothesis for this question here. All right, welcome back. So let's take a look at our hypothesis here. So I wrote, if salt is added to the plant soil, then the plant will die because salt will dry the soil so that there is not enough water left for the plant. So I have my if, I have what's going to be changed. We're going to add salt to the plant soil. I have my then, the plant will die. That's our prediction for what's going to happen. And then because I have my explanation for why I think that's going to happen, and here I wrote that the salt's going to dry out the soil because there's not enough the plant will die because there's not going to be enough water left in the plant because the salt's going to dry out the soil. So I have my if, my then, and my because. All right, let's take a look at one more example. All right, so my question here, does staying in the sun for a long period of time affect a person's chance for skin cancer? Right, so another opportunity for you to pause and think about what a good hypothesis might look like. Again, use your if, then, and because parts of a hypothesis, and then it'll help you out a lot. So if, what's going to be changed, then the prediction, and the because, the explanation. Right, so pause right now, and then when you come back, when you hit play, I will go over in a good example for this question here of a good hypothesis. All right, welcome back. So here's my hypothesis. If people spend more time in the sun, then they will be more likely to get skin cancer because exposure to ultraviolet light in the sunlight causes skin cancer. So I have all three parts that I need there for a good hypothesis. I have my if, I have what's going to change, which is people are going to spend more time in the sun. I have my then, they'll be more likely to get skin cancer, so that's my prediction for what's going to happen. And then I have my because there, exposure to ultraviolet and the sunlight causes skin cancer. That's my explanation for why I think some person would be more likely to get skin cancer. Right, so our big takeaways here are having those if, then, and because parts of our hypothesis, and with those you'll be able to write a really nice testable hypothesis. It'll make scientific method and science class much easier this year if you can get a good handle on writing a good hypothesis. Alright, that's going to wrap it up for writing a good hypothesis. Thanks for your time, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you later.